Hello and welcome to another After Church Tea Time. Today we speak about Jason and Christy's sermon about the life-changing path of Unionism. Today is joining us Laurencio and Alexandra, Deborah and I. And I would like to open up the room for you to share your insights and what you liked most about the sermon and what it means for you to be a Unionist.
I really enjoyed the sermon today. It was really nice. I loved that we're going deeper with what it means to be a Unionist and how Unionism really changes your life. Because I feel like in my life, I have been calling this in. I have been calling in I want to say like a religion, a community, a place where, life is ever growing abundantly. And I feel like this is what Jason and Chrissy kind of shared of how their life grew abundantly because of the teachings of Union, because they applied the teachings, because they went all in with this path and they have, walked through the process, however that looked like for them, and achieved, great results. And this is applicable for us as well. And also, I really loved going back to the sermon. I really love like Christy's story as well, and how she shared about her success with the teachings. I really love that because it's like it really shows how if you are persistent, if you're committed, if you choose to go all in and love yourself, it's always gonna be. You're always going to have like success in one way or another, no matter how it looks like. And yeah, I love that. I love to reflect about the success, not only of my own, but us as a community. And it's really inspiring to see that, right? Because I think one of the things that Jason and Christy said was that if you feel discouraged at some point in your journey, you just have to, move through that and claiming your support and go deeper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved too how they shared that this community is based on God and how they always were looking for God in their life. And I too was looking for God since I'm a child. I was loving going to church. I was at that time still in a living like a girl. And so I wanted to contribute, give service there. Yes, exactly. But they didn't allow me at that time because I was a girl, and they were in the Catholic Church, just boys allowed. Okay. So I kind of was upset, and I didn't know how to work through that as a young child. So I kind of felt, okay, this is not the place for me. I have to go somewhere else. And then I found as a teenager a group of Christian who were really strict, living according to the Bible. And so I thought, oh, cool, they are really talking about God. It's kind of another way. People are accepted there. But at some point I realized I cannot go deeper. There was this wall also in the religion I was looking for, like Jason shared. In his career, he always had this wall. He changed his jobs, but there's always this wall. And I experienced it too in looking for a religion, looking for going deeper with God in my life. I then looked into spirituality and other religions, but I never found what I found in here, as a Unionist. I have a community who is open. I have a community where we can work through upsets in our relationships, where we don't hold grudges at each other. We have the mirror exercise. We are transforming our lives to the better, and everyone can do that. And like, I loved how they shared, it's better to have your buddy, your healing buddy with you, because when there is a community, there are also your Ascension buddies, but with your twin flame, this is this intimate, unique relationship. Yeah. And this is so wonderful. And I found a place where I can talk about God, and everyone loves talking about God, even young people, older people from different countries all over the world. Yeah. And this is so beautiful. Even from different religions, we found here what connects us all, and this is love, unconditional love, and that we have compassion for each other, that we have to work through the blocks in our life. And that is so wonderful to can, like I loved how Chrissy shared, she's so proud to being a unionist, to be able to live such a life and to be able to create this wonderful life for her. And I kind of felt, yes, that speaks. Kind of, I feel this in my heart too.
Yeah. Yeah, like Christy was sharing at the end of the sermon, how also Unionism like provides this umbrella for every religion. And I really I remember experiencing that. I was around 12, and something within Judaism wasn't really feeling good anymore. Something didn't make sense to me. Like, I grew up in a non-Orthodox Jewish family, but still kind of like certain traditions were respected. And I was like, there has to be something out there. Like there is an image of God that they are holding that doesn't quite fit in. And I don't know if it was my curiosity or what, but as I was growing up in a more open high school, which people from every religion pretty much was there, I was like, okay, there's something in common here, but it seems like they are still not quite talking this, like speaking the same language. And kind of like how Jason was phrasing it, I wanted to find something that kind of made sense, that made everything click. Because like there was, or like Christy, I think it was too, like there's separation here, there's separation there. This doesn't quite make any sense. And that's what I find like the coolest about Unionism, like Christy was sharing at the beginning. It's about becoming one with God. It's about becoming one with who you are. And this is the jewel of the community is that everyone here is accepted. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just kind of like you show up and you're unconditional love. Doesn't matter what you did, where you came from, what you're gonna do in 3 months from now.
Hopefully working through your upsets.
Hopefully working through your upsets so that you can grow deeper like with the community and actually find like a very cool place to be yourself.
And have a better life.
I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like everyone here is welcome and accepted. So long as they are working through their stuff, like Jason was saying, it's like everyone tells you, okay, you have to heal. How?
I love that.
How? And I did the mirror exercise and then, oh, that's how.
Yeah.
It can be really that easy.
Yeah, I love that. I think like we were also searching for like an easier way to heal. Like we were doing some healing before coming into the community, but it always felt like this like long process that was very painful, or like you had to go through these experiences that were really like unpleasant. And it was like, oh, like it's why does healing have to be so complicated? And for me, like it was always like talking about religion and going back to that, what I found like off when I was like exploring my own religion was that people are giving me images of God that seemed contradictory, like they were like butting heads. Like God was loving and he was loving you unconditional, but you also had to fear him and he would punish you for your sins, And I'm like, that doesn't really make sense for me. I don't fully get that. Like those images are completely different and there's something off here, And it was like at that moment where, I have realized is that no matter how much people have tried to put a religion on me or like convince me or try to convert me or like show me another way or however you want to name it when it comes to religion, I always came back to this point. Yeah, but why that, And they always were like justifying the not so, how to say, pleasant part, like the punishment and the sin and all of those things were part of like something that was always like some logical explanation as to why the God who was so loving was also punishing you, for your sins, and that for me, like I was always like, no, clearly, like, no, I had no idea, but it was like, clearly that's not it. That cannot be it, and Unionism and this community was the only place where, I got like, no, that's a lie about God. God doesn't punish you. And I was like, yes, thank you. This is the thing. Thank you for explaining that that's not like, it confirmed that like inkling that I had in my heart about this situation, right? Like, and I never kind of gave up until I found like the place where, I had that relief in that space about who was God, because kind of how Jason said, like one of the biggest challenges he had to go through, like in becoming a unionist and being a unionist, was relearning things, right? Relearning all the things, all your life basically, and changing like this cultural change, right? Well, even if like I haven't really accepted, that idea of God, that was the only notion of God that, was presented to me and kind of seeped into my subconsciousness, because I have heard it since, I was born, basically. So therefore, I had to relearn and be willing to go through this process of who God actually is, because that's the primary relationship that we have, is our relationship with God. So therefore, everything comes from there. It's all downhill from there, or uphill. But for me, I feel like that was one of the most challenging things, is like really getting to know God and working through my things of like, being willing to have conversations with God and sit down and like dedicate time to God and be in that space where going to God for whatever I feel like I need, or for everything basically, was natural. And I still like, I'm working through this, and I feel that, growth inside of myself has to like, it's very much easier for me right now to talk with God and to approach God about specific things. And I'm still growing in that space. I'm still deepening in that relationship, and I'm still purging things in some places, because like it's the primary thing again. It's at the foundation of everything, but it's just so important, and at the same time so juicy to get to know God, like the real God, like the God that loves you, and that's it, loves you and period. Loves you and nothing else than love, and I think like that's a really like a really powerful thing that I have learned throughout like being a unionist. And that has been, of course, reflected in my twin flame journey, that has been reflected in my life purpose, like in all areas of my life, and I'm very grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do relate a lot with you here, of course, with twin flames. But like when it comes to like how I grew up with religion, I know like I've been very much like saying no to religion a lot as a child, just because it was very pushed on me, was pressured, was kind of like, as Alexander said, again, with the punishment, if I don't do as they say, I'm going to be punished. So being like using God as a thing to just manipulate people, which I didn't really agree with. So for me as a kid, I was in a space where I how to say, I stayed in a space of like actually like turning away from that and just facing something else that kind of wouldn't seem like would be God, or not said that is God, but for me, I see now that it was God, which was like turning into going to video games and just spending all my time just playing video games all day. And the parents are like, oh, don't stay there and play video games all day, but like that was the only place that I could actually feel unconditional love for me. And something that, as a child, and something that I really like enjoy, like as I grew up, and now looking from the unionist perspective, that was in a way where I met God, actually. And I really love that the Unionists really support that. And right now with Divine Gaming, we're really supporting that space to really really refine that space of meeting God with video games, which for me was a very, how to say, very intimate space with that, since I spent a lot of my years of my childhood just within that space with God, even though I didn't know at the time that it was God. It just felt unconditional love. So yeah.
Beautiful.
I was playing Minecraft, Divine Gaming, and I loved it. I never experienced something so, it felt so complete. Even I had to learn a lot. I'm not a Minecraft player, so I had to get used to it. But of course, I had to do my inner healing work with it. But it was so loving, and I find God all over the place in everything. I have to go over this bridge, and I go over this bridge again and again and again, and I don't know how often, but this is so perfect. And this is what we find here. We find here love in all places of our life, in divine gaming, and in divine dish, in eating, like Jason and Chris shared, also in map trauma. I never met the person who has not a trauma. Even it's like that. And it's something I knew I have a trauma all my life. Since my father died, I knew I have a trauma, and I was looking for a solution, but I was never able to be open to show my vulnerability. Like Christy shared in the introduction, I learn here to show my vulnerability and that I can heal a trauma. And this is reminding me of the card Kanisha shared, the first self-esteem. I had such a low self-esteem all my life. That was also the reason why I was not able to show the world my true self as a man, as a transgender man. And I had to heal these traumas before I can show, because it's a very vulnerable place when you hide your whole life that you are a man. And here I found people where I was feeling safe enough to show my true self, to explore my true self, and also to say I'm traumatized and I don't know what to do, and I got help. And now I can live my life, and I don't survive. I can truly enjoy my life. I can feel my life. I can live a healthy relationship with my partner, my perfect partner.
Yeah. No, but like it's true. It's because even if I didn't manifest it being a trans person, I also kind of like had the same challenge as Paco in like it looked different on the outside, but like for me, kind of like in those social relationship situations, kind of like community wise or family wise or even like romantic wise, it's like I never really felt like I could be myself. And like finding that that's only because you kind of like have your upsets towards it, like there's trauma or there's something that's not correctly wired in your mind, and finally having like the ultimate solution for it. Because I too went like to psychology a couple of years, and like the progress that I see by embodying this teaching and applying the mirror exercise is like beyond measure what we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time compared to the decades that maybe we put in our quest to feel better. Basically, I feel like that's pretty much the core of it. Like
this healthy risk Christy was asking Jason, this healthy risk,
just trying something new, and see if it functions, and it actually functions. So
Yes, I think like that's one of the places where people kind of get stuck, like in their journey, is that they do the same thing over and over again, and they expect like some sort of magical results, like that will suddenly change, but the change has to come from within yourself. And that's applicable in all areas of your life. Do you feel miserable like in your relationships, right? With your twin flame or like your romantic partners, you have to change something. change, approach it differently, look at it from another direction, heal. Do the mirror exercise, right? Well, it's always the mirror exercise, right?
From that point of view, we're doing the same thing over and over again. We're doing the mirror exercise over and over again.
But it works. It's a...
But it's kind of like how Chrissy was sharing, like she was looking at her relationships, and like when it started not functioning once, twice, 3, 4, 1,000 times, then she kind of like stopped the ball and said, oh, there's a common denominator, and that's me. Like there has to be something that I am doing wrong here, because otherwise I should be seeing different results. And kind of like it's interesting to see how they were sharing the same, like Jason was having this experience, kind of you could say in the life purpose with his jobs, and she in her romantic relationships, kind of like that's the main focus that they were sharing. And yeah, like it doesn't matter where you come from. If you're looking for something that finally hits the nail in the head, then unionism is pretty much the key. It's like the answer you've been looking for. I know that Jeff and Shaleia have been that for me. I kind of like remember, I still remember distinctively, I was having a conversation with God without knowing that I was talking to God in truth. I didn't quite knew how to cultivate that relationship, because like Alex was sharing that the image of God was the one that, yeah, he loves you, but beware of what you do. Otherwise he will like smite you with his mighty hammer, blah, blah. And I remember saying, like, after reading from different religions and getting to know a little bit of them at the core, I was like, I really desire someone who can actually guide me through this shit show, like somebody who can actually give me the answer I'm looking for. There has to be a way in which my experiences, no matter what they are, make sense. And yeah, hold up, I don't know how it's the phrase in English, Lord and behold. Finally, after a couple of years, Jeff and Shaleia showed up, and everything from there was getting better exponentially.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And I feel like this is like kind of what you mentioned is like why I feel like the mirror exercise and the teachings is so important, because it gives you that way. And it's not just like a magic woo-woo, like put some things in a pot and then drink this magical potion, right? Like, it's not like that, right? It's like a really yeah, it's like a really systematic process based on spiritual laws and on spiritual truth. And that's why it works 100% of the time.
Like Deb was just drinking the love potions. That's why Paco keeps staying with us.
that's what actually made it work. But shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Because I think like I meet like a lot of people, like new people that are interested in the teachings of union, and like, oh, like I know to love myself, right? I know love, I know all of these things, you know. And I'm like, yeah. And I think like, you know, if I look back, I think it's very natural, kind of like what Jason said. The easiest thing was to love myself, right? But the tricky thing was like where to love yourself and how to approach that loving yourself. Because for me, before having the teachings of union, before having the mirror exercise, it was kind of like a hit and miss. Like sometimes I love myself, sometimes I didn't, sometimes I had success, sometimes I didn't. And I didn't understand why, right? Because I didn't have like the foundation of like this process that is the mirror exercise and the teachings of union. Like it's very exact. You feel bad, sit down, do the mirror exercise, love yourself, feel better, yay, continue with your life, right?
You know, now that you say it, actually really felt like a lottery.
It really felt like a lottery before. Let's go. Like, what's gonna happen today? I don't know, but I pray for the best. You know, I didn't have this certainty and like that kind of self-confidence that kind of Kanisha brought in the reading. That self-confidence came from this foundation that you do the mirror exercise, the same exact 4 steps each and every time, but they work each and every time. Like there has, like in these years that I've been in the teachings of union, like it's like never I have done the mirror exercise and not felt relief, like, and not felt peaceful, and not felt, you know, like something changed within myself. And yeah, you go through layers of upsets or like, you go through like healing, maybe the same upset multiple times because it's like a core one and you have like different layers. But each and every time that, even when I went through like my core, blocks or trauma, I felt better and better and better. And that better feeling, that love and peace that I cultivated in that space, solidified into a foundation of self-confidence that, yes, I can walk this path, and whatever comes my way, I can heal it. And I think like this is why, like, as unionists, we kind of have this complete set tools of like healing, either be like the mirror exercise and Ascension coaching, or the mind alignment process and trauma healing, or like the health and wellness program from, still the mind alignment process, because as you open up and you feel more confident in yourself, you're going to approach more challenging things within yourself, like bigger things that have been affecting you deeper, right? It's like maybe at first you're not really willing to look at this big wind in your life, but you're willing to like look at that little scratch and deal with that little scratch. And as you heal that little scratch and you see like it's better, you go to like a bigger one, and then a bigger one, and then a bigger one. And then that's kind of like you become healthier and healthier, like spiritually within yourself. And that's kind of how I see this process. And yeah, you do have to kind of start small, maybe in the beginning with a little scratch, and then you build confidence and you can deal with the bigger issues. But that's because you are now stronger, you are now more confident, and also, you're prepared to move through that. You have everything you need. And if you don't know what you need, or you don't think that you have anything you need, go to your Ascensions coach, go to like a friend in the community, and most likely they will have like a guidance for you or where to go. That's how I found about MAP. Like I just asked, hey, do I have a trauma here? What do I do? Like, how do I deal with it? I don't know. It was new. Like the first time for me when I went through MAP, it was a very new experience. Like I did not know how to handle it, to be honest. I was like, lost. I was there like, God bless me, take me away. Like I don't know what to do with this, experience. I tried to do the mirror exercise and did my best, but I was so stuck. I was like, I choose to heal. I just don't know what to do, And I phoned a friend, and it was really good. It was Chrissy actually, I phoned a friend, Chrissy, and she helped me, and I did MAP, and it was like, oh, okay, life-changing experience, and from there it was only uphill from there. Yeah.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And what came up for me right now, as Alex was sharing, is when you go deeper, like she said, when you go deeper and heal deeper, and there come kind of bigger stuff up to heal.
Mm.
Yeah, Chrissy also shared there come these situations where you kind of get tested. If you go the door and kind of you say, no, I don't like anymore, kind of, no, it's enough. I cannot.
Kind of like the breaking point where you kind of like give up on your journey, or
yes, and this door will always kind of, it's like then Chris shared, it's like a test, and you always have to say no to this door, because then you kind of commit deeper. You commit to your inner healing, to commit that you will feel better. You commit to the Church of Union. You commit to God, because you say no to giving up on yourself. And as you say no, giving up on yourself, you automatically say yes to God, and you say yes to love, and you say yes to your twin flame, and you say yes to your life purpose, in saying no to giving up.
And yes to your twin flame too.
Yes, I say that.
I said it.
I think so.
I don't think so. But anyway.
He said it.
Okay. But it was important. Kind of like an underline.
Yeah, you
like when you study,
okay.
you kind of like underline the text big time. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's like what sticks to me from the ceremony is that this that they were talking on pretty much at the beginning, in regards to, like, there are tools to handle pretty much all the material aspects of our lives, but when it comes to healing, like Chrissy was sharing from the Sedona, so the Romance in Sedona workshop, like Shaleia was sharing, when you have a broken leg, you go to the hospital and it's like, you will have, like, attention is going to be brought to that place, and somebody is going to rush to your aid and say, okay, we have to, like, take care of this. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to, like, your emotional well-being or your psychological well-being or even like your spiritual well-being, there isn't really much there to help you through that or support you at the core level, because of course, like, there are different types of therapies and they all do something at some point. But it's I don't know if to say cool to see that you can actually get rid of something at the core, like that little thing that's been bugging you for decades, that little wall that you keep hitting. Well, you don't have to heal that wall anymore. And I find that you need, like, one of the pearls of the teachings of union or becoming a unionist is knowing that, like Alex and Laurentia were sharing, it doesn't matter if you have to be persistent and kind of like peel the layers and gain strength to continue going deeper in healing those pieces of you or those parts of you, but you can actually find like a real solution. And knowing that whatever you experience so far, you don't really have to go through that again. Like, once it's healed, it's healed. And you can, like, get to take with you that healed piece wherever you go. And it's not just in this lifetime, it's kind of like, spiritually speaking, goes with you everywhere. For me, that's one of the coolest things. And kind of like what gets me going into the teaching. Like, it doesn't matter how it gets, it's like, okay, it's a challenge, it's a test. Take a deep breath and take it a step at a time.
Exactly.
And just kind of like keep going with it.
Yeah, you do not need to force yourself anymore. That's the coolest thing. Yeah. Like they both shared at the beginning too. They are forced themselves through their traumas and keep going.
And they're pushing through. Yeah, pushing through, but that doesn't work because you're actually not really healing at the core. I certainly did that. Like,
I did that too, of course.
Like, moments in my life where I was kind of like devastated and, I will just power through. That thing was still there. And it kept coming with me everywhere I go. So it wasn't really like kind of like a dead weight.
Yeah, now we can go to these places and have compassion for ourselves, and that feels so good.
Yeah,
that was exactly what I was looking for. That feels so good. And I'm in a community where people understand that, okay, he's going through something deep and he has to go to places where he was very hurt. Or, okay, I can sense this in my brothers and sisters here too. And there is this compassion for each other. And God is compassionate and God is unconditional loving. And we experience it here too. And here really. And God is not punishing us. God is just helping us to experience more of his unconditional love every day, more and more. And when we go through big upheaval, massive upheaval, it's okay. It's totally fine. Go through it. It's totally okay.
Yeah, we even help each other, like, make it light and fun. Yeah. Like, oh, massive upheaval.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
Oh, you're dying.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And then it's better after an hour or two or the next day. And life is just juicy again.
Yeah, that's true. Like, once you power through that block and you see, like, the breakthrough, like Alex was sharing, it's like, oh, it's magic everywhere.
Yeah, it's totally worth it to go through it. And it is a big thing to change your whole way of being, because this is what being a unionist kind of requires. It's like for you to be willing to realign your whole life in such a way that it actually supports your dreams. And kind of like about the forcing through your blocks or forcing through your trauma, like pushing it aside and like, oh no, like I have to pull through to this one just another way. just another day, just a little bit more until the weekend when I can relax a little bit, right? Or just a bit more until like that vacation or that something where I can like finally relax my mind a bit. It's like, it's actually building a life on that, like on that pushing, on that force, on that not being compassionate with yourself. And unfortunately, you can't live like that forever. And that's why
I think fortunately, because that's not the way that people.
Yeah, fortunately, you cannot live like that forever, and everything will crumble, right? And this is why kind of how Jason and Chrissy were referring to, artists, taking a break to, take care of their mental health, which is like a new thing. Well, what happened in the past? Like in the 80s, like artists would die young because of like drug overdoses, because that's what, fueled their artistic self, right? And I appreciate that artists are not doing that anymore, right? Thank you. Like, be an example of like taking care of yourself, because they do have that influence on people, and clearly in the past we didn't do it really right, right? And we're kind of awakening to a new and better way. And it is taking care of yourself, right? And I am sure that when time will come and people will be ready, they will come into the Unionism community, right, into the Unionist teachings, and will receive the support that they need. But coming back to that is that energy wasn't sustainable, like forcing yourself. It is a false foundation that will crumble. And it might be upsetting that even to experience that crumbling, because you've worked like so hard, right? And you've done so much only to see it fall away. It must be very heartbreaking to go through that, but it was necessary for you to look at how to actually build your life on things that actually are stable. And again, that's what Unionism gives you. The teachings of Unionism gives you that way, that stable, grounded way. And it is a new way, because until now, we've lived in that way of forcing yourself, burning yourself out, and making it happen, right? And that's not the way. And it is a new and completely new culture that's being cultivated within the Church of Union and within our community, because it has, God at the center. And that's revolutionary. When we want to have a relationship with God, not only in a spiritual sense and relinquish all your earthly life and be with God on a mountain or be a nun, right? But where you can be with God and have a very fulfilling earthly life, where you see that God is not separate from your earthly life, but it's part of your earthly life in each and everything that you do. Be it like your romance and your romantic relationship with your twin flame, your perfect husband/wife, spouse. Be it, in your career and your abundance, be it in anything that you desire, really. And
really creating heaven on earth. And something here about this aspect that I really love is that when it comes to like not forcing yourself, one of the places that I know, like let's say with doing exercises and being fit, kind of like when it comes to that, like, and we were using the word, okay, go to the gym, go for 1 hour, like
push yourself really hard.
Push yourself to all of these things. And I remember like in classes with Jeff and Shaleia, it's like how they kind of recommended to actually start and how they started a bit more. It's like just 5 minutes of walk. And, that's like, wait, how does that work? But in truth, it really works that way, because like we know ourselves from our experience, we try to like, okay, now we're going to do exercises. Now we're going to have half hour a day, every day, just doing exercises. And in 6 months, we're going to be fit. But then 2 or 3 weeks later, okay, we can't do anymore. We have to stop. And, you know, like only when we actually started to go through that process of building a foundation, how Jeffrey showed in the teaching of union, we just have a walk 5 minutes. And it actually works. It actually feels like, yeah, the first time was okay, let's see, but then it actually started to feel better. Oh, okay, I feel good. Let's do it again, and let's walk more now. And you feel it's kind of like more growing into that rather than pushing yourself into that, which I really appreciate. That's you know, we're taught this way. It's kind of creating this eternal foundation rather than how to say a result just for a period of time. And with that, like, we can see how the community at large will have all these aspects integrated in it. Meaning right now, yes, we have Twin Flame Universe, which is focused on Twin Flames. We have Divine Gaming, focused on games. We have Mind Alignment Process, focused on trauma healing. We have Divine Dish, focused on food and eating. And there's going to be so much more, probably like a lot more aspects we're going to go through in this community. There's going to be all, who knows, divine body, whoever, however that's going to be called. But yeah, I look forward to all of that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to that expansion as well. It's really juicy right now, like, don't get me wrong, but it's, you know, when we're going to grow and sustain what we're doing here in a like really stable way, like the church can expand more into other areas as well, which I think is really amazing. Starting with our farm, that's the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it does encompass everything. Like, and that's exactly like how Christy was saying, like, it encompasses all religions. They all have God at the core, even if they are having differences in their communication as to how the relationship with God should be or look like. It's pretty much about that. And I found it very interesting that you can find a union with God in things that maybe you didn't quite thought were possible. Like Laurentia was sharing at the beginning, like he found God through gaming. And Jeff, in his own way, also did the same. And I find that very, very satisfying or cool. You can find God in whichever way feels good to you. Doing pottery, cooking, playing, teaching children, painting, singing, being a, how do you say this? The guy who sells you the meat. I have the word in German right now. I cannot say it in English, but like, it doesn't matter if it feels good to you. If you feel connected to what you are doing, you can find God there, and nobody gets to say that that's wrong. And I feel like
you wanted to say butcher.
Thank you. Yeah, I had this sometimes. Yeah, you know what happens. The brain doesn't quite connect.
I think you would like to play activity.
That I would like to play?
You don't know this game where you kind of explain a word around? You don't know? Divine Gaming.
Okay. I think I had the name in Spanish for that game.
Like a guess game, kind of like.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Like charades.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think it's called charades in English, right? Where you use your hands or whatever, and you have to describe something.
Yeah, exactly.
Being resourceful in communicating. But anyway, like that's the cool thing. Unionism kind of like allows you to develop that relationship, and with no more thunder coming down the Olympus to strike you in half if you do something like now. Yeah.
You kind of keep speaking about Zeus because you the way he describes God, it's like with the hammer and the thunders. It sounds.
Well, that's the image that I grew up with. Like that's the image that I was portrayed of God, like this mighty entity, so to speak, that had the power to kind of like destroy you. And that's the cool thing, like with the teaching and doing the inner healing with the mirror exercise, so that there's a point where you come to the logical step. I was like, why would God go to such an extent to create something only to destroy it? It doesn't really make any sense. There has to be something else here.
Yeah. But like with what you just said, like he still destroys something, but all that we are not.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not real to begin with.
Yeah.
So there's no destruction actually happening.
It's kind of like background noise, but not so much background anymore.
It doesn't exist. There's no background noise.
Yeah, there's nothing else but God, So yeah.
Yeah, and ultimately there's nothing else but that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
We feel complete.
Me too.
Yeah, we feel complete too. And I say thank you to Lorenzo and Alexander for participating. Thank you to Deborah. Thank you for watching. And we see us in the next after church tea time.